Demo. Let's go back to the schedule real quick and take a look at what we have coming up here. So this week here is the week that I should really change this to, and when I make this into a 4-credit class, let's just say it like this. I'm starting to do a little more Illustrator Demo stuff.
Is it possible to zoom it?
Yeah. I should say lecture here and do an Illustrator Demo. But let's say it like this. We are in week 5, okay? Tuesday, week 5. So by the end of next week, all of you need to have come up to the desk here with your pile of concepts, right? Sketches, Illustrator stuff, stuff that you think sucks, stuff that you think is good, everything you've been working on. I want printouts of stuff that you have done in Illustrator. I want you to come up here with your thumb drive with a working file that then if I want to put your logo up on the screen in Illustrator to kind of do a demo stuff, I can. But so to turn in logo study type 3 and logo critique, once you come up here and I then mark you in my book,
That was fun.
for those of you at home, the projector just turned off. And I went, what did I do? And it does not look like I did anything. So once you come up here and we have that critique, I will mark you off in my book if I feel like you have presented enough to me. If I don't feel like you have presented enough to me, I will say go do more and to be continued and come back to me for a critique. Okay, does that make sense? So today, I want to then go over some concepts in Illustrator that are basically concepts that you may be using to complete your logo study 3. Okay, I do also have some older videos that are underneath my videos page. So you can see this one, Illustrator Objects, Shapes, and Paths. That was last quarter's. So basically, I'm going to talk about how to do some of that kind of stuff in Illustrator. So I have a few basic concepts that I want to go over. Oops, I don't need to do a new document. Let's just save this as demo in my documents. I could have sworn that I turned that docking thing off to hide. Let me close that up real quick.
Subtle.
Not a good job.
What was subtle? What?
His trying to duck
Buddy,
under
he
the.
tried to do this.
Oh, he tried to do the matrix thing
Yeah.
and it just didn't work?
No, not effective.
Well, you know,
He tried.
and he rips on me for my bad jokes and you too.
I'm not making any jokes.
Right, but yesterday, you know what Tatiana said to me yesterday? You're the kind of friend that I'll never forget, but I'll want to forget your jokes.
I didn't say that.
Something like
But
that.
I might have said it.
I cried,
But I
Nicole. I
didn't.
cried myself to sleep last night.
I understand.
Okay,
Getting them would have the added benefit of them being a surprise the next.
okay, so back to me. So I'm basically gonna go and hit the type tool, and here is where then I am just going to
Zoom that.
type out, hold on, I'm getting there. Type out my name. I'm gonna use, let's say, Palatino. because that's one of my favorite fonts.
Are we following?
You're not following, no. Don't worry about following me. So here is the character palette. I can then switch this to, let's say, 72 if I want to. I can also, with my selection tool, my general selection tool, then grab a corner, hold the shift key, and make this a little bit bigger if I want to. Let's then take our type tool again and say design. And for this one, I want to go and do a little bit more of the hierarchical design of brand name and industry name. So I'm going to knock this back down to maybe 18, 21, right? And at this point in time, again, I'm not really worrying about point size because in terms of, oh, this is going to be 14 point forever in a day. I'm worried about relationships in terms of just this logo as an encapsulated object. So I can then as well take and do kind of a shift up like this. I am going to change this to one of my favorite typefaces for doing this, Helvetica. I then have different modes of different family of Helvetica. So you can find if it does have an extended family, you can then find the extended family under here. Here's the typeface, here's the family, so on and so forth. If I want to make this all caps, I don't have to retype it out. What I can do is simply go up under type, change case to uppercase. All right. So once I do that, here you can see it's now uppercase. And if I want to track this thing out, right, again, give it a little bit more space, this right here on the palette is where you find the tracking. Now, if this part of the palette is not open, this little button right here can hide. You may just have it look like this. So here, show options, that'll give you a little bit more on this palette. As well, I can then take both of these and go under the paragraph palette and center align these. So you can see then that the anchor is at the center of these two pieces of type. Okay. Now, I might want to move this up a little bit there. I may want to bring this down in size, and I can just use the arrow keys to bring it down, or the, not the arrow keys, the arrow selections, whatever. I can even type in, right, to set this out a little bit more like that. And let's say this is over here, but I want them to be dead center underneath each other. Here's one of my favorite palettes, the Align palette. So I am also going to rearrange my palettes a little bit here. Show options. So with the Align palette, what I can do is I can align things to the artboard or just between selections. So if I selected these two things right here and chose Align to Artboard and then said horizontal align center, vertical align center, it's going to align both of them directly dead center in the artboard, right? That's not generally what I want to do here, but that's useful. Like let's say if you were in my Web 200 class, is anybody in my Web 200 class right now? Right? Remember when I did the boxes for the guides and I did the Align to Artboard, etc. So here, basically, I want to go align to selection. And if this is way over here, then I can select these and say horizontal align center, right? And so now they are basically dead center underneath each other, except for at this point in time, because they are editable text, you see this little space here after design, it's taking that into account when it's centering it. So what I might want to do is grab this, hold down the option key. If I select both of these, hold down the option key, and you see how you get the black and the white one now? Click, hold the shift key down, and I can make a copy of that. Remember how that Draplin video, he was making duplicates, right? That's how he was doing it, okay? So when you're working, it's a good idea to just make duplicates along the way, so you're kind of saving what you're doing, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, everything I need to save, but you never know when you may want to go back to something that how many of you have ever done something and you've gone through a whole ton of steps and you're like, oh shit, I wish I had a version of that from yesterday, okay? So what I'm going to do here then is I am going to, under the type palette, I am going to then create outlines. So this is where, again, I am creating it now into artwork that if I go to the direct selection tool, this is where I can, if I zoom in here, select just these anchor points and do something like this where I drag those up.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing something really basic, but when I try to move certain points, like if I click once, it'll move like that. But what if I only want to move it like half?
I see what you're saying. So if you're
This.
like having an anchor point and you're using the keys to do stuff, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, or when I'm using the mouse.
Right.
Anything, like when it doesn't even have to be a direct selection. Even when I try to like move the letters and just.
Nothing matches up on Illustrator ever.
Yeah, exactly. Like it moves either there or there. It
Right,
doesn't move
right,
there
right,
in
right.
between.
There's a GIF that I'll show you.
A GIF.
A GIF. In other words, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Is it gonna help me?
Well, you're gonna laugh and then cry.
So no.
In other words, you just kind of gotta futz with it and make Illustrator your biatch, right? As best
My
as
what?
possible. Your biatch as best as possible, right? And when you come across that, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I get
Me too. So now this, right? This is a grouped selection, and this is a grouped selection. Okay. So now if this was over here, right, and I wanted to grab both of these grouped selections, I could then align these objects, and now they're right dead center underneath each other like that. The only thing now is if I want to go and kern this out a bit, I can't because I've made this into artwork. So I would have to go back to the version of editable text, right? But it's a good idea to always have a version of editable text and a version of paths as you're going through this process. Once you get enough into it and you're solid on a design, you don't have to keep every last step, right? But let's say you're here and now you want to start editing things, right? Well, let's say if I wanted to move just the M a little bit. Well, because it's grouped, I can't so the black selection tool is the selection tool that will grab groups of items. I could grab it like this, but I don't necessarily want to see all the points. So I have two options. I can do this. If I, with the black selection tool, double click, you see here how it's in layer 1 and this isolated mode of now I can click on each one of these. So therefore, I can move over just the M if I wanted to. Or I can grab this and say ungroup and then move this over. Either way, okay? Now, there are a couple of funky things in Illustrator that at this point in time that I go over. Let's say it like this. If I want to make the dot of that eye red now, if I double clicked like this and I selected just that dot of the eye and I opened up the Swatches palette and I chose red, oh, I just want the dot to be red. Why is it making both parts of the object red?
Because the eye is one object as a whole.
Correct. You can't ungroup it. That's the thing.
You have to
Isolate it.
Close. It's a compound path.
You have to like make outlines.
It is an outline. So let me say it like this. An I or an E, let's say it like this. If I take this E, right, and if I draw a rectangle, let's actually make that magenta, and I send this to back, I'm going to be able to see through there, okay? If I made a black circle, and then, whoops, made a white circle. This is a white circle over top of a black circle. I cannot see through that unless I select both of these objects here . Did they move it?
If you go to Pathfinder.
Hold on. Let me. They moved, oh, there it is. Compound path. Make compound path. So now it's like a donut that it has a punch through it. Okay? I could then, if I wanted to, with this E, release the compound path and then grab that shape. Likewise, here, I am going to have to release that compound path to then make that dot of the eye a different color. Make sense? Here's what I'm doing today. I'm going through kind of a checklist of stuff. So those are basic how we can control certain pieces of information to make some paths. I am actually going to go back and make this one compound again so you can see through the E because I'm going to do something with this a little bit later. Okay. I am also going to now go to artboards and I can name my different artboards. I'm going to name this one Durbig. Because I'm going to recreate the big red logo. So the big red logo, basically what I did was I used it's not going to give me enough room there, is it? You. No. Managing palettes. Arial black is what I used. Arial black. I'm going to go back to zero kerning, and I am then going to make this a little bit bigger. So what I need to do then is basically, let's say, object, create outlines. And again, now it's grouped. I want to then object, ungroup it, because I want two groups out of here. I want the red to be grouped. And I want the big to be grouped. So basically now I have my two groups. I can then select the big part, and I like holding down the shift key. In other words, if I just move this over, I might not move it over, constraining it to a horizontal or vertical or 45-degree axis. So when I am moving stuff over like this, I have a tendency to hit the shift key, whoops, so that when I do move it over, it moves directly on a horizontal axis or vertical or a 45-degree axis.
Can't you hold the ruler, stuff like that, if you?
Yeah, but this is a good way of just being quick and dirty, concise about it, right? So when I'm moving stuff like that, I have a tendency to hold down the shift key. Okay? So what I want to do now is to recreate this, I need to flip this around. Do I make it red or flip it around first? It doesn't matter. Let's make it red first though, okay? So if I go over to, let's see, let's tear off this palette. And do I need to tear off this palette? No. But a lot of these palettes have these little extras here that if you hold this down and hit right here, it'll tear it off. So you may have seen in the Draplin video, he had a bunch of these little things torn off. You probably didn't notice that, but I did. Because I'm a superstar? Yeah, we'll go with that. Because I've been doing this for a long time. So I'm gonna, with this chosen right there, I'm gonna hit the reflect tool. So I want to flip it on the vertical axis. So if I then hit preview, it's going to show me what I did. So if I did it like this, or an angle, that's dumb. I'm just going to do vertical, 90 degrees, okay? So now I have my big and my red. I'm going to move those up there. And again, I am going to option. I'm just going to kind of save my work in a series of doing this. So what I want to do then in this logo is I want to bring this R, right? And this R is now on top of the B. If I right click, I can arrange and say send to back. So I want to basically have, again, let's go back and look at the big red logo. Right? I want only a part of this R. Okay? So that white part right there, I want to be able to see through. Again, if it's sitting on top of another color, just like I could see through the whole of the I or the E, right? I want to still be able to see through that. So what I need to do is I need to delete part of the R, okay? If we go to the, where is it? Creating using a monogram. And we go to the illegal PDF that I'm housing on my server. But if you know anything about me, you know that I just don't care. And in here, right, let's say this one. They want to take off part of that A, right, to then move it over and then take this and take that. There are a number of different ways to do that. How many of you are in Martin's class right now? Okay. Has he gone over the Pathfinder, minus front, divide, and that kind of stuff? Lightly? Okay, great. So what we can do then is if I take this back over here a little bit, what I have a tendency to do is use shapes. Now there is, let's see, this one right here, the slice tool. I believe if I do something, oh, look at that. That's not the tool I want. Where is it? I want the chainsaw tool. Where's the chainsaw tool? Huh?
Sounds like the most fun tool.
Yeah, let's see. Eraser tool. Maybe they got rid of it.
If you want to see the options, just click down on the icon and then slide your mouse to the right.
Yeah, there it is. Scissors and knife. There it is. The knife tool, chainsaw tool. Right? And now I can remove that piece. Okay. See what I call the chainsaw tool?
This is about as accurate as
Does
one.
it sort of close that cache for you?
Yeah.
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 Like as you're going.
Yeah. So instead, what I do is I like using shapes. So if let's go and hit magenta. So if I draw a rectangle here, okay, I can select, nope, I'm gonna have to ungroup these again. Object, ungroup. So if I want to select just these, then I can do a couple of different things. I can, under shape modes, under Pathfinder, minus front. So because the magenta one was on top, right, it just took that and got rid of it, and now I have, oh, look at that. Not accurate. Zoom in here a little bit more. Let's turn the outline mode on. I'm going to go just over top of that. Okay. And so again, if I select these and I say minus front, it'll get rid of the magenta one for me, right? Or let's say I want to use all part of these, right? I want this part and that part, and I could then use the divide. So now I can give each one of these a separate color if I wanted to, okay? Or if I hit divide, I could just then start deleting those sections if I wanted to, okay? So now, go back and group this again. I'm a Durbig logo. Okay. And again, if I drew an object sent it back there, I could then see through that object. Okay. As well, this methodology, what I just did, I now duplicate this, and let's say I just want to get rid of the D, get rid of the E, get rid of the I, get rid of the G. Oh, look at that, I'm starting to have a nice little monogram. I'm going to go grab this from over there. Right? And then if I convert that to paths again, object, group, whoops, sorry, object. Actually, I want to save that chunk because it's editable. Grab that object, type, think aloud protocol. Yeah. One person got that. You haven't got, you don't get that yet, do you? That was an HCDE joke. Usability testing using the Think Aloud protocol. Bree should have totally laughed at that too.
I wasn't listening.
Of course you weren't, Bree.
I get it though.
Do you? Do you, Bree? Hey, Bree's here, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! So yeah. So now if this is grouped, and let's say I group that, again, I can use that. I can go to align to selection, center it, bang. I'm not done.
I see.
That. Right, so I can start kind of making different versions of this, right, to see how they all translate. Now, I would admit that the Durbig logo has now lost some of its meaning here because I reversed it and put it in a box, but still, this is what you can do with your monograms to kind of start seeing how things work.
You're allowed to get away with that once the brand is established, right?
Sure. I mean, well, yeah, and this would then be, hey, what if we need to have this stamped on a box or on a truck in black and white, or, you know, remember how he was talking about you're going to see it in different environments, right? On a mailing label or something like that, right?
Repeated over and over again on a handbag.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
Coach aren't the only people dealing with that.
Or on a bottle. So far, so good? Are you guys kind of looking at this going, oh, holy shit, no wonder we use Illustrator. Look at all that crap we can do.
No, can you go over
What about
it again?
images?
It's going to be on video. What? Or it is on video. What was that?
Images.
We're almost there. Okay, I'm not done. I was just getting coffee, drink coffee. I'm still, yeah. Okay, so that was the Durbig logo. Let's now do the mom logo. Just go with me on that. Ah. So let's say mom here is an Arial black still. Zero. So, there's a couple of things that I want to show you with this one. One is when we were doing the monogram stuff, the Dwayne Reed one. Remember when I talked about this little portion here, right? Where you may want to have a letter form and use the same curve of the letter form just a little bit farther out, okay? So what we're going to do here then is I have my mom logo. I am going to duplicate that as that's the original one I'm going to work from. And then I'm going to take this and I am going to negatively track it in. Much. Then let's actually put a stroke on that just to see where it is. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. So get rid of that stroke. So type. Grid outlines. So let's say I wanted to knock this O a little bit out of into the M's, right? What I would want to do then is if I selected this one, object, path, offset path, okay? So what I want to do is instead of giving it a stroke on the outside, I want to actually make a whole new object. So if I say offset path, see how it kind of grew? As well as it growing, it is now a whole new object out there. That make sense? Okay. Then I can take this one and send it to back, right? So again, if we go back to our little taking a look at this stuff in space, we still then see the white. That's not what we want. We want it to kind of be knocked out of it. So again, what I would want to, where would I go from here? Who can tell me? Nobody can tell me? We just did it a little bit ago. So if I'm going to ungroup it, right, and I select just that outside of the M, Pathfinder, minus front. Nope, that's not what I want. This one we might have to, because we're choosing a bunch of different things, might have to then choose the divide, right? And then after we choose divide, we can go back in there and choose just the white portions and delete them. So now we have that basic same path. Let's right? In other words, if we were to draw on the board here, and I need to take a picture of this, don't let me forget. But if I had kind of the crosshairs and I had a circle that then had the radius like this, right? Basically, offsetting path is making another path kind of just farther away, right? So it's kind of like the radius of an O or a circle. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's what we did here. What about now if we wanted to go more this way, right? We wanted to actually reverse that whole letter form out of those two other letter forms like that. Let's actually scale those back in size. I'll use the scale tool here. Note, if you have strokes and you are scaling things, scale strokes and effects, right? Otherwise, your outline, your strokes will not scale with your object correctly. Move you down, move you up. So again, I am going to zoom in here, and I am going to, because I had this as an editable version, create outlines. And here now, with my direct selection tool, I can just go grab those two anchor points, right? And drag them right over here to that M. Send that one to back. You don't really see it, but now you have all of these kind of objects like that. So the easy way to go about it then would be if I ungrouped and I changed that color to white, right? If I then took this one, arrange, send to back, this looks kind of like what I am trying to do, right? However, again, if we use our, let's see if we can see through it, we can't, right? So we are going to need to do a couple of things. One, I want this M over here and this M to all be one object. So I want to merge those objects together, make it all one piece of artwork. This is where I can use the unite portion of the Pathfinder. So if I hit unite, it is now one single object, right? I can then, again, take this, and if I, again, go compound path, release, and then I take this O right there and select the grouped or the united portion of the M's and that O, and then again did minus front, I should now be able to see through that, okay? Symbol libraries. What am I looking for?
Web icons?
I don't know if it's web icon. It's not. I'm looking for a heart.
It's in the web.
You sure?
Yeah.
This one?
Third line. from-
There it is. Can't remember how. And notice I'm lining those things up right across. Oh, it didn't show it to me. There it is, those X's, those centers. I then want to go grab the pen tool, add anchor points. Look at how I'm just trying to cross off every last thing you can do. Anchor point there, anchor point there, anchor point there. I can then take my selection and I can delete that middle one. I can then take this, bring to front, take that one, bring to front, take that one, open up the stroke palette, show options. Oh, arrowheads. I have a cheesy mom tattoo. All right, Emilio. It's Emilio, right? Images. Go back to the mic design one. Let's say that I wanted that to be a flame. So I went to artist type, type as art, and I clicked on royalty-free stock images, and I had already put in the keyword flame. Let's just use this one. So here's the thing with iStock. You can then buy these. Some of them are $12, some of them are more. But if I wanted to buy this vector file and use it, I could buy it for $33. Okay? But let's say I want to just use this for comp-related purposes, meaning composite design-related purposes. I could save image as. And I've saved it in my documents folder. There it is, okay? Along with my rope TIFF. So here is then in Illustrator, what I can do is File, Place. You can grab that, Place. Bring it down in size a bit. Okay. Now, which one do I want to use? Let's say I want to use this one right here. And take my rectangle and draw a box right over top of that one. I can select this image and select that rectangle. Clipping mask, make. Let's move you over here. You up there. Yeah, well, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. Rid of that one. Do, 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 do. Right? So when I'm showing concepts to a client, right, rough concepts like this, there it is. What if I want that to be its own vector, though? Close. Is this what you're wanting me to show, Amelia? Okay. I'm gonna double down on you here. What if where's my artboards? Make this a little bit bigger. With this grouped. Oh, Jesus. Why? Stop. I want my align palette open. Thank you. Line 2, artboard, center, whoops, center, center. Now, with this, I'm going to ungroup it now. With this one, X, window, layers. So right now I've just been drawing on layer 1. I'm going to make a new layer, and say flame template. Paste that there. I am going to put that back up about here, right? And on this layer, I can make this a template layer. So I can dim images. I'm going to dim it back to 30%. So now it's locked. And with the pen tool, if I go back over to layer 1, No, it's not totally perfect, but that should probably be. Why is my align palette always being hidden for me? Where are you, align palette? There you are. No? There it is. Pathfinder, that's what I want. Minus roads. Layers. Did that show you enough techniques?
Yeah.
Who feels like they're a pro now? I know. But those are the basic fundamental techniques that, again, what I tried to do today was just checklist all those little techniques that I use day in and day out to do work like this. Again, this is has been recorded. What should we say in closing?
Tell them about
It's
that
like,
second.
how much more done can this be?
How much more black could it be? No. How many more 5-year-olds can Trump handcuff at the airport? No more fucking 5-year-olds at the airport.